This week, James, an old friend of mine, gets dumped without warning and in the worst possible way and asks us for advice. And later, Ashley wants to know if it's past time to take her relationship to the next level or time to cut her losses. You decide. Welcome to the talking phase. Hello and welcome to the Talking Phase podcast for this week. I'm excited to be here this week. My name is Tom, and I'm here, as always, with my incredibly beautiful and talented co-host, Pam. How are you doing, Pam?
I'm doing great. I wish they could see me through their earbuds right now to see just how beautiful I am on this wonderful evening. But I can see you, Tom, and you can see me, and I am, as always, happy to be here talking to you.
Awesome. And by the way, for those of you who don't know this, you must be living under a rock, but you can see Pam and me if you ever care, but mostly Pam. You can see Pam on YouTube. This is not just an audio podcast. So just heads up on that.
Yes. And I think there are plenty of women that are now running to YouTube to see you, Tom.
Oh, okay. Well, you know, they will learn that life is full of disappointments.
Oh, boo. Boo,
All right.
boo, boo. Not true.
Well, let's get into it today. I think what we're going to do today is a little bit different. We have two emails today. And by the way, for those who are not familiar with how we do things here, I'm not a very detailed person, nor am I as empathetic as my good friend Pam. So Pam, when we started this little venture, she agreed to handle all correspondence. So when we get these emails and TikTok comments and comments on our YouTube videos and stuff like that, I never see them unless Pam says, "Hey, Tom, you really need to see this one." So Pam, she takes care of all that. But we're a little bit different today because I actually received an email from a personal friend of mine, a guy I used to work with, and he asked our advice and gave me permission to. We've been talking for the last week or so about it, but he said that feel free to read his email on the show, and he's interested in Pam's opinion. I've already given him some of my opinions, but he's interested in hearing what Pam wants to say about it too.
And it should make a really, really interesting topic because I think it's more common than people even realize.
Right. And then once we're done talking about my friend his name is James. And once we're done talking about his email, we are going to read a listener email that was sent to us at talkingphase@gmail.com. So that will be kind of more of a normal thing for our show. But anyway, two emails today. But before we get to my buddy's email, a quick shout out to our good friend and producer, Brian, who is always in the background and always here to make sure that our show goes off without a flaw and with his pearls of wisdom. Brian, how are you doing?
I am doing quite well. Thank you for having me in the audience as an audience member of one. Sadly, folks, you cannot see my smiling face for this show, and you never will, as I'm the voice of God. But great to be here. Pam, Tom, how you guys doing?
I'm doing great. And listen, Brian, you would be surprised how many people comment for you on YouTube. Like there's a woman who every week just says, "Hi, Brian," every week. So I think that eventually we're going to have you on screen so that people can at least see how handsome you are.
Oh, well, I'm going to have to make sure I pop into YouTube comments and say hello back.
Maybe you should do that because
you
are well known.
Oh no.
Yes.
That's fantastic. I love that. I think it's great that we've already got kind of a little bit of a following, and hopefully it grows and continues to expand. Right. Okay.
That's what she said. Sorry.
I love it.
I missed that. Boo. Good job, Brian. Good job. Was that the voice of God or was that the voice of...
It was Michael Scott, I think, but who am I?
Yeah,
the devil on your shoulder.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so Pam, what did you do this week?
Oh, well, we just got back yesterday. Nikki and I went to Nashville for 3 days, and we have not been to Nashville. And so we have an easy nonstop flight from Raleigh to Nashville. And we were like, let's go. And I was not prepared for how much fun Nashville is. I kind of had it in my mind that I'm not a big country music listener. And so it wasn't going to be my cup of tea, but live country music is so much fun. And the people on the stage are so engaging. They're not all good, but they're having such a good time. You can walk out one door and into the next door 3 feet away and have entirely different bands playing. It is like nothing I've ever, honestly, like it's like a little bit like Vegas, but on a smaller scale because it's just one street. And of course, it's mostly country music. We did find a couple bars that played some good rock and roll. Like Kid Rock has a bar there. It's mostly rock. But we went into like, I don't know, 20 to 30 bars on the 2 nights that we were there. And we definitely said by the time we were done, we would go back.
So 20 to 30 bars with a 2-drink minimum.
No no drink minimums in Nashville, none, and no cover charges.
Wow.
I feel like I'm working for the tourism of Nashville right now.
Yeah, no kidding. No, I've been to Nashville a couple of times. In fact, my first business trip ever, literally in my entire life, I think I was 22, maybe 23 years old, not even old enough to rent a car. And the company I worked for sent me to Nashville for a week of training. And without a car, I was just a kid. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So I showed up. I went to this Holiday Inn there on whatever that main street is, right across the street from the Parthenon. And it was a horrible experience. I mean, the training was good.
You were too young for it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the problem was that like there was the burned out light in my hotel room, and I walked in this little hallway and there was like a puddle on the floor, and I walked right through it. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I hope that's just water. And it was so dark in the hallway, I never did find out. So anyway.
Yeah, but better not to worry. It's ironic you say that because we walked into our hotel room, which was a pretty nice hotel, and there were 2 giant spots that were wet on the carpet. And I said to Nikki, I was like, what do you think this was or is? And did they clean it? And so we just walked around it the whole time. But we weren't going to change rooms. We'd already unpacked. So maybe just what happens in Nashville stays in Nashville. Because I think there's some serious shit going on in those hotel rooms, period.
Yeah. I don't ever want to put a black light on any of it.
No. How was your weekend?
It'll be glowing from space.
Ew. Probably. So.
Yeah. Well, my weekend, it was actually kind of a boring weekend. I actually spent quite a bit of time booking travel. Unfortunately, not fun travel. Kind of fun travel. I am coming out to Raleigh again.
You are?
Yes, believe it or not.
Wow,
I'm going out there for 2 reasons.
Here?
I'm going to hang out with my friend Pam for a weekend. And then also I have a business meeting with a sales partner while I'm out there. So that's going to be fun. That's kind of at the end of the month. And then I've got to go. Brian and I actually are traveling to Nashville for 3 days for a business meeting. And then in September, I'm going to Salt Lake City, San Diego, Seattle, and then back to Atlanta. It's going to be a lot of flying over that little bit, but mostly over this weekend, I had a really interesting experience. About a month ago, I started having, this is the part of our podcast where we talk about getting old.
Better than the alternative.
That's true. There are only 2 alternatives, right?
Yes.
So I'll pick the getting old part. But about a month and a half ago, I started seeing or feeling that as I would stand up from a chair or get up out of bed or any sort of thing where I'm standing up after I'd been sitting or lying for a while, I would have a dizzy spell. And, at first I thought, oh, well, whatever, no big deal. But it's been going on for over a month. And so I saw my doctor, which is also kind of a weird thing because, I'm a guy. You never go see your doctor because he might find something really wrong with you. And so I went to see my doctor, and he I don't want to say he laughed at it, but he pretty much just laughed at it. And he said, dude, you're getting old. It's just part of aging. So, of course, I talked to my friend Pam, who is a personal trainer and knows, a lot
Some
about,
stuff.
Some stuff. And we got talking about it. And there were other parts of what he told me. He said, yeah, you might be partially dehydrated because apparently I've got some, a dry kidney or something. I don't know. But he said not to worry about it. But he said, you got to drink more water.
Yeah, poor, this doctor did you no favors. Hey, you have this, but don't worry about it. And you're getting old. These are find a new doctor. Those are not nice things.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Brian.
Oh,
You're
Brian.
getting older.
I think we need to talk about this. So Brian has pulled up something from the internet to let Tom know that the most common Viagra side effects, one of them is dizziness. Tom, there's your answer. Stop taking Viagra or don't.
Okay, done. I also noticed, by the way, at the bottom of that graphic, Brian, one of the top 10 Viagra foods was a banana. And I find that ironic given the shape.
I can see the irony in that.
Viagra. It looks like Viagra, bananas and garlic. Those are the go-tos, it says. So,
okay.
Yeah, well, I think they're trying to say you need more potassium.
Oh,
and deviled eggs. There you go.
Well,
I just had deviled eggs the other day.
You should be feeling better by tomorrow. I say you just need salt. So
so Pam suggested I drink like Gatorade or some sort of electrolyte, and so I've been drinking a bunch of Gatorade and trying to drink more water too, not just Gatorade. And I'm happy to report that yesterday I was cleaning out my cabinets, my lower cabinets, and I had a dizzy spell, and I realized that's the first one I've had in like 36 hours. So I think that Dr. Pam has me taken care of better than Dr. Tafari. And I shouldn't say that, but Dr. Tafari, you didn't help me.
Well, his doctor wasn't good, but really the best advice we could give anybody that's in your 40s or older is to not Google your symptoms, but to find a doctor who doesn't tell you you're old.
Or a graphic that says you should stop taking Viagra.
Well, that would be terrible advice for you, because then where would that leave you?
Exactly where I am.
At your ripe old age. Obviously.
I'm fortunate enough. We're going to have to talk about that at some point. I'm fortunate enough that I haven't needed that. I'm glad it exists, but I hope I never need it.
I don't know. Yeah. It's kind of like menopause. I think it might be inevitable depending on your age. But that's like I said, for a different day.
I'm happy it's there for if and when I need it. So, all right. Well, with that, since I've just bared my soul to a group of strangers about my dizzy spells,
everybody's shaking their head and going, "Yeah, I get those dizzy spells. I need to stop Viagra too."
Yeah.
or eat a banana.
Yeah, stop Viagra or start Gatorade. Those are the things. And these recommendations are not supported by the American Medical Association. Okay, let's get to it. I want to give you just a little bit of a background about my friend James before I read his email. Like I said, this is a good buddy of mine. We've known each other for about 20 years. We worked together for about 10 years. We were colleagues. I ran the West. He ran Central for our sales organization. And some of you have seen my email. Some of you have seen my TikTok that I put out a day or two ago about my worst breakup ever. And
it's a doozy.
It is a doozy. And I will tell you that I don't sit here and think about that breakup. It's not like I lay awake nights wondering why I got broken up with. But the reason that I made that video or that TikTok is because of this email that I got from my buddy James. And so he just kind of made me think about it. And when he sent this over, he did give me permission to read it, like I said. But a little bit about him, he's a little younger than I am. He's in late 40s, early 50s, something like that. He got divorced 4 or 5 years ago, more or less about the same time I did. So we talked a little bit back then. It wasn't a bitter divorce. It's not like he wants to, stick pins in a voodoo doll of his wife or anything like that. Their kids are grown. He's just an all-around good guy. So that hopefully paints a picture of the guy that wrote this email to me. So here it goes. Tom, it's been a while. I hope you've been well. I follow you on TikTok and just started listening to your podcast. So far, I think you guys are doing God's work. Keep it up.
I like him already.
Yeah. Like I said, good guy. I hate to ask, but I know you've had some crazy dating experiences, so I'm hoping you can put that experience to work and give me some advice.
He asked the right person.
Well, I've got plenty of experience.
Dates are your specialty after all.
Yeah, I don't know if it's good advice yet. About a year ago, I met an amazing woman named Jody. She's independent. Her kids are great. She's beautiful. She's exactly what I've always wanted. So there's his list, by the way.
It's a unicorn for him.
Yeah. We've been in a committed relationship for 10 months, and I've actually been thinking about the possibility of being married again for the first time since the divorce.
Holy cow, that's
Ooh.
fast work. She must really be a unicorn.
Yeah. So it sounds like, so they've been together for about a year, but that's about the time you start thinking of that stuff, right? All right. We flew to California last weekend to visit her parents and meet some of her friends. We also rode some roller coasters. On the flight home, she mentioned that she wished I'd connected more with her friends. We talked about it for a while, and I admitted that I could have tried harder, but since we live in a different state, she rarely sees them, so I didn't realize how important it was to her. She agreed that made sense, and we settled in to watch a movie for the rest of the flight. When we got home, I dropped her off at her place, and we talked about getting together later in the week. I didn't hear from her for 2 days, and then I got a text saying she needed some space and time to think.
Oh, never a good sign. Never a good sign.
I wanted details, but I knew asking was a bad idea, so I held back and just texted to let her know that I love her and that she should take whatever time she needs. Then earlier this morning, which was Friday of last week, I got this text. James, thank you for giving me space. It means a lot. I wish things were different, but I don't see a future for us. I wish you only the best, Jody.
Boo!
Right.
Wow.
Sucks.
Wow.
Bitch. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No,
Bitch.
don't be sorry.
Okay. Well, let me finish this. We're almost done. And then she blocked me. And now I'm sad, confused, and totally pissed off. I don't know what to do. Help. James.
Well,
I'm sorry. It's a fucking doozy.
Yeah, this is probably one of the roughest emails that I've heard yet. And, the first thing that it invokes in me is heartbreak that any human being who has gotten to know somebody over a 10-month period of time, they are owed a face-to-face explanation if they're going to end that relationship. So my first takeaway is, how dare she put that in a text? Like, in what world does a grown-ass woman text, thanks for the time, but it's over, bye? I mean, in what world does that happen?
I don't know, but you can see where this, I don't want to bring this back to me at all, but you can see why this reminded me of my worst breakup, because it was this out of the blue, what the hell?
Right.
Now, the fact that they got back and then she didn't talk to him for 2 days, and then she sent him the I need space email or text and all that kind of stuff. Has there ever been a time when someone says, I need space to time, I need time to think or space to think? Has that ever worked out?
No. I mean, no. I first of all, I've never received or written a text like that. If I'm upset enough to need space or time, I'm going to have a conversation with my partner, especially if we've just gotten back into town. I mean, I understand that maybe there was something that happened on that trip that triggered her. But if I'm 100% honest, I feel like she was not in that relationship anymore. I feel like, if I'm honest, I think she probably had met somebody else. I think that the only reason to find a quick exit to something that is long-term with no explanation is that you'd rather make the person wonder about why they're ending things than let them hate you for why you're ending things. But I have a gut feeling that she did something that would have made him hate her, and she just took the easy out, which was nothing, do nothing.
So your theory, and again, we don't know. And again, I think women talk to each other about this stuff. Guys, we don't do that. So I don't call them up and say, how are you feeling today? That's not how we handle things. It's more, what's going on? we want to know what we can do to help and that kind of stuff. But so I have not said to him, is she seeing someone? I've not gone there with him.
I understand. He probably doesn't know.
Yeah,
Well, she doesn't
yeah.
seem like the kind of person who would have been open and honest. She sent a fucking text to break up with him.
Yeah. Well, and of course, one of the things that I said to James is, with all due respect, good fucking riddance.
Yeah.
If you've been together for a year and in a committed relationship for 10 months, and the best you can get is there's no future for us, best of luck, or whatever she said, fuck her. And I don't see any middle ground there. At this point, I don't think he should want to try and fix it. What do you think?
No, I don't think you should want to fix it, but I think that it is very hard for him. I mean, this is somebody that he just said he had actually started thinking about marriage with this woman. So in his eyes, this was living his best life and ready to take the plunge. And in my opinion, he deserves an answer. She should not get out this easy. So I think he should drive to her house and knock on the door. Or I honestly, I don't care if she doesn't want to open the door. He should find a way to have that conversation face to face. She should have to say more than thanks for giving me space. Have a nice life. There's no world where something should end on that note. And I agree with you that she doesn't deserve him unless there's more to the story that I don't know about. She doesn't deserve him because here's a guy who's all in and she has no consideration for his feelings. So she should have to look him in the eye and give him a better explanation than no explanation at all.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said, except for I get a pit in my stomach when you say he should drive over there. Because and I don't know if it's a male female thing. And in fact, Brian, if you're listening, I know you always are. For me, the idea of driving over there and demanding an audience basically scares the shit out of me, just from a pure getting arrested standpoint.
Yeah, as a guy, I mean, like, I'm 6'5", I'm 269 pounds. Like, I'm a big guy. And just the idea of it, like, if it was me going to an ex's house after a emotional breakup, more or less demanding a conversation, yeah, you're putting yourself in a really, really, really uncomfortable position, not only from a legal standpoint, but I would also just say, just from a conversational standpoint, it comes across, dare I say, a little bit threatening, but that's my perspective.
Well, listen, being the only woman in the room, I'm going to say, like, if there's even a small possibility that something happened that triggered her to feel like she needed to break up with him and she couldn't see him again. And if I'm totally wrong and she's not cheating on him already, if something happened and she still loves him and he still loves her, I think that there is a place and a time for, let's call it, a forced conversation. I mean, I'll tell you a short story. Before I was married, we were dating. We were about probably 4 or 5 months in to our dating relationship. We were in a committed relationship, and I had stayed over at his house. And as we know from the last episode, I have a little bit of a problem with going on other people's computers, call it jealousy, insecurity, whatever. That's who I was then. He had left to go to work and I was still at his house. So I got up and I went onto his computer. And yes, I opened his email. And lo and behold, I found that he was still on a dating app. And we were in a very, very committed relationship. So I got a pit in my stomach and I felt sick, like literally wanted to die in that moment. So I proceeded to write many, many post-it notes, because that's all he had, explaining what I had found. I set up a user profile for myself on the same dating app and told him that I too would now be back on the market, and just told him it was over. I left those on his desk along with the flowers he had given me the night before. And I left and I went home and I cried my eyes out and it was over. About 4 or 5 hours later, there was a knock on my door and I knew it was him, but I opened the door and he was standing there and he was holding his computer in his arms. And he said, I made a mistake. I didn't date anybody. I didn't do anything. Just wanted to see that I still had options in case things didn't work out with you. And I want you to have my computer. I don't want it anymore. I don't need it. Anything that I can do to earn back your trust, I'm willing to do. I don't want to lose you over a mistake. And I let him come in and we talked about it for probably 3 or 4 hours that night. And whether I'm an idiot or not, we decided to give it another chance. And I totally believe it never happened again. And there was a resolution and we moved forward. So I don't think that the art of communication face to face is lost just because somebody is scared that they're going to get arrested. I'm not telling you that he should be, going over there yelling and screaming, but he could be hurt and upset and want to have communication. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Well, I think, and it's a great story, and kudos to you for being, empathetic and forgiving and all that. Which again, I forgave my now ex-wife for cheating twice. So I mean, I understand that when you're in love with someone, you can forgive them for making a mistake. In this case, I think the reason that it's a little bit different is that she didn't give him a reason.
Right.
You knew, and he knew exactly what he had done.
Right.
But Jody did not tell James anything. And so he's just sitting there like, what the fuck? And quite frankly, how can anyone say that they're in love and then break up like that? There's no way.
I would agree with you. The part of me, the female part of me is saying, what if something happened that in her mind was a deal breaker, even after 10 months, that she saw something or something happened and she thought to herself, I can't marry this man. And they were talking about it, or at least maybe she knew he was thinking about it. And it's the unknown. Like, I just don't believe I could leave it alone. I think I would have to know. And you know what? She should be uncomfortable enough if it's on her to give the explanation, even if it hurts him. I don't think it can hurt him more. What can hurt you more than not having any closure?
Nothing.
Right. So
Yeah.
no, I agree with you. It's not love if you can do that, but is it love if he's not willing to fight for her?
Yes.
Okay. So I mean,
I believe so. Because I mean, consider it this way. She said, we're over.
right.
And now he has two choices. He can either respect that, no means no, or he can say, well, I don't believe you, so I'm going to come and tell you you're wrong.
Well, there's a third option. He could say, I'm here because I love you and I don't want this to end without knowing for a fact that it can't be repaired, and to make sure that I didn't do something to cause this. And if I did, to ask you to please tell me.
Well, that's just a lot of words to say you're wrong.
Well, I mean, and she might, as far as I know, and this email goes, she is completely wrong. But where is the harm in having one face-to-face conversation? I don't know that she deserves it, but I don't know that she doesn't deserve it because I don't know her side.
Well, of course. Yeah, that's how it always works, right? And by the way, Jody, you can certainly send us an email as well if you'd like.
Right.
And tell us what your side of the story. But I guess what it comes down to for me, and maybe this is just me being unempathetic, but if someone says to me that I've been with for a year and they send me a text and say, I don't want to see you anymore, you know what? I don't want to see them now. I mean, that is absolutely, I mean, she has shown her true colors. And
that's a deal breaker.
Yeah, I should put that on my list, right? That if I've been with them for a year and they break up with me over text, that I'm not going to go fight for it, because fuck that.
Seems like an epidemic. So maybe you should put it on your list. But at the same time, there is just this part of me that says, do you throw away 10 perfect months and a trip where, you mentioned that on the trip, he felt like something had shifted. He didn't have the relationship with her friends that she had hoped that he would have. I think that's what you said.
She told him, yeah.
So, so something's going on here. Something, maybe the friends got in her head and said, this is not the guy for you. You need somebody more social. Maybe it's something shallow and stupid. And then everything you said is 100% correct. But if there's even a 10% possibility that those 10 months of these two people clearly being in love with each other, that something tragic happened that he is unaware of, I don't think there's any harm in him trying to find out. To me, I could not let it go. And I am so grateful that my ex came to my house that night, because even though the marriage didn't last, we had 18 years together. And I know for a fact, as much as you can know for a fact, that he never, ever repeated that mistake. And so I just think some things are worth one more discussion before you throw it away.
Well, I guess, I'm not saying that it's not worth the discussion, but the discussion I would want to have is not to get back together, because quite frankly, if it was her friends, if it was her parents, if it was something else that he supposedly did, right. I mean, I'm going to give James the benefit of the doubt, right. Because he seems genuinely distraught. I think he would have told me if he were cheating on her. I don't think he's done anything egregious. Maybe she just doesn't like that he, eats crackers in bed or something. But the problem is that she won't tell him, and that she was willing to break it off over whatever it is via text. All three of those things are bullshit. And if he does run over there and they do fix it, he's going to spend the rest of his life wondering if she's going to break up with him tomorrow over something equally stupid.
And I agree with you 100%. And, I'm not even necessarily saying that it should be a conversation so that they can reconcile. I just think in this kind of a scenario, there should be a conversation, even if it's just for the sake of making her uncomfortable enough that she, doesn't do this to somebody else. I mean, I can't understand what kind of a woman would ever break up with somebody over text. He does seem like a great guy, but not having all of the details from her perspective, I think that they need one conversation face to face. And you know what? If all he gets out of it is closure and she feels like a piece of shit, then that's a win for him. And it's exactly what she deserves.
Well, and it's probably a win for her, because unless she is a complete psychopath, she is feeling bad about this.
Or she's lying in the arms of her new lover, feeling like, thank God I got out from that. Man, I didn't even have to face him. I sent him a text and here I am having sex with somebody else and woohoo, living my best life again. So I feel like she deserves to have to talk to his face. Period.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. But so James, we'll finish it up with this. My last piece of advice, and then Pam, if you'll give your last piece. So James, give it a try. See if you can have a conversation with her. Don't get yourself arrested in the process. But that conversation should not, in my personal opinion, should not even leave the door open to continue the relationship. It should only be to get closure. That's my advice. Pam?
And I'm going to say flat out, texting has destroyed communication in general. Things are often misunderstood through text. Young people, old people, everybody is trying to talk about how they feel and what they want by sending a message in a text or an email. I think definitely he needs to make it happen where they can have another conversation. I don't know how he goes about doing that. I don't want to put him at risk, of course, but at the same time, I think he will feel better afterwards. And no, I don't think that he should reconcile with her unless something horrific happened that made her fear seeing him for whatever reason. And she can explain that to his face and he can look at her and say, but I didn't say that to your friend. You know, that was repeated to you. That's not how I meant it. Misunderstandings do happen. So am I going to tell him to absolutely not take her back? I'm not going to say absolutely. It would be a very tough decision for him to forgive her, and she probably doesn't want that. But at the same time, I bet there's a part of her that's wondering why she hasn't seen him yet. Like, I don't think she thought she was going to get out that easy, and she shouldn't.
She shouldn't.
No.
So I think we almost agree, but not on the, for me, the door is closed no matter what. For you, there's at least a small possibility that it should be reopened.
Well, yeah, small.
Yeah.
Small would have to be something really humongous.
All right. Well, either way, James, buddy, we're rooting for you. Just
100%.
hang in there, pal. And
there are better women out there that
absolutely
would never, ever do that in their entire lives, even if they hated you.
Yeah. And just to your point, Pam, to everyone out there, don't break up via text. Be grown-ups for crying out loud.
Right. Do better.
Yeah. All right. So with that, I think we can get to our listener email.
Yes.
You've got mail.
Yay.
All right. Well, we've had I think that might have been our first email from a man. And this one is definitely from a woman. And she says, "Hi, Pam and Tom. I'm enjoying your podcast so far. And I have a question I think other people will be able to relate to in this day and age of crazy dating. I'm in my early 30s, and I feel like the age-appropriate men that I'm dating, from dating apps mostly, unfortunately, should be at the stage in their life where they are looking for something real and potentially long-term. However, recently, the guy I have been dating have been dragging his feet on defining the relationship or taking the step of being officially boyfriend and girlfriend. And I've been dating this guy for a few months. We were both completely acting like boyfriend and girlfriend. We would spend multiple days together per week, being intimate, sleepovers, meeting friends.
That's boyfriend, girlfriend.
Yeah, boyfriend, girlfriend in anybody's book. But when I brought up taking the next step, he started to pull away and said he wants to move slowly. Wow. He wants to move slowly, but he's already moved as quickly as they possibly can.
Yeah.
He just doesn't want to define the relationship. So she asks, do men in this day and age just want to keep their options open? Or is this guy just not that into me? It seems like they just want a girlfriend and they don't want to have to call them their girlfriend. Would like to hear both of your perspectives as to when the right time to take the next step or when to cut your losses. Thanks, Ashley. Well, another biggie today. So Tom, being a man and her doing your favorite thing, basically, which is calling out all men, is this what all men want? I think that we should start with what you think about the fact that this more than friends with benefits situation, this man is not willing to commit to her.
Well, okay. A couple of things. There's a lot there. First off, I agree with there. People that are in their 30s should probably be looking for more than just flings. I mean, I'm not going to say that, 32 is the year that you should settle down. I don't know what it is, but when you get into your 30s, you should, it's not your 20s anymore, I guess. But so I agree with her on that point.
That's a good point.
Yeah, mathematically, I'm correct. But I hear this, and we both just commented, they say they see each other several times a week. They have sleepovers. They're fucking.
Met each other's friends.
They've met each other's friends. That is boyfriend girlfriend stuff. They're not acting. She said we're acting like boyfriend and girlfriend. No, they are. They're boyfriend girlfriend by any definition. Like you said, I mean, they're there, right?
She's the girlfriend. He just doesn't want to be the boyfriend.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, he's seeing her several times a week. Maybe they haven't DTR'd. I was going to say codify. That sounds a little bit too much, but they haven't proclaimed that they're boyfriend and girlfriend. Maybe they haven't changed their Facebook status, Pam. I don't know. I don't know what she knows.
Hey, don't mock that. That's an important step for us Gen Xers.
That's true. But so they're doing everything that boyfriends and girlfriends do, right? But
right.
So, and like you pointed out, they did it pretty quickly, actually. Yeah. And what is the next step? She says, I want to know, he doesn't want to move to the next step. If they've already gone that far that quickly, it seems to me that the only next step is either moving in or getting married. And if that's the case, that's a little bit quick. So good for him. Hold off, brother.
No. So on this one, I'm going to take the other side because
all right,
there is a canyon between friends with benefits, which quite honestly, if you're not in a committed relationship, if you're doing all of those things and he has said he's not ready for a commitment and he's still on dating apps, then as much as it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it is not a duck, because unless he says you're the one, I don't want to be with anybody else, he can go through all the motions that he wants to and still not be her boyfriend. Because in order to be her boyfriend, he has got to see a future with her. And if he's not willing to commit, then I don't think he sees a future with her. And so he's not anything. He's her friend with benefits.
Did she say he's still on dating apps? I don't remember that.
I equate somebody not being willing to make a commitment to dating other people. If I say to you, look, I want a relationship and I don't want you to date other people, and you say I'm not ready for that. I mean, she's specifically asking here, at what point, she says, would like to hear, at what point do you take the next step or cut your losses? I mean, you're sleeping with him. He's hanging out with your friends. You're doing all of these things. If he's not your boyfriend by now, cut your losses, period. Why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free is what my mom taught me. I know that's so boomer Gen Xer, but like, this is months it's been going on. And why should he stop looking for greener pastures if she's going to let him have her and do that at the same time?
Yeah, but I'm going to challenge you. I don't think that there's anything in that email that indicates that he's seeing anyone else.
Then why did she write the email?
Because I think she's expecting him to do something that she's okay. We've been together for a few months. We're sleeping together. We're seeing each other's friends. We're hanging out all the time. We're doing all this stuff. I want to go to the next step. What's the next step?
Okay. The next step would be to define the relationship. I went back on the email and I'm at this sentence. However, recently, the guy I have been dating has been dragging his feet on defining the relationship, taking the step of being officially boyfriend and girlfriend. So he is getting what he wants from this. It's been months, she said.
I missed
months of acting like a boyfriend or a girlfriend and not being willing to take the next step, which is really pretty simple. It's like, hey, let's not date other people. Let's focus on each other. And if this is the right thing and it feels good, let's see where it goes. Because they're in their 30s. Like, if he's not willing to make a commitment to her after a few months of acting like her boyfriend, I think that she should dump him. Quite honestly, there's no question in my mind if he's unwilling.
Now that you've pointed out that part that I missed, I completely agree. And the bottom line is, if that's where she thinks they are, and the next step is to DTR, right, and he's unwilling to DTR, I don't know. Obviously most people don't deal with ultimatums. Like if she says, by the end of July, you need to DTR or I'm out. I mean, they shouldn't do that. But I think in her mind, she's going to have to make a decision. And she has to have a grown-up conversation with him. It sounds like she's tried.
Right. And she should be ready to send that text. This isn't working out for me. I mean, there's a movie. I don't know if people have seen the movie. He's just not that into you. But I believe that in the dating world, especially in today's dating world with dating apps and having so many options, if he wanted to, he would. Like, if you're seeing a man for a few months and you're that quality of time together and he's not ready for a relationship, he's using you. Or he's not scared to lose you at the very least. I mean,
okay, yeah, I will go there. I mean, I think using you he very possibly could be, but I think he's, like you say, at the very least, he could be treating her a lot better.
So, right. I mean, and maybe she's using him a little bit too, because, in the beginning of a relationship, everybody is just trying to get their needs met, but she's at an age, listen, I have a daughter. She's 29. She'll be 30 this summer. If she was Ashley and she was dating somebody for a few months to this level, and that person wasn't in a committed relationship with her, if they had not had that conversation, she would be out of there. She would not ever put up with that. And she's in a committed relationship now. So
how long should it be in your mind? You're in 3 months is the minimum or maximum?
I think at least 3 months. I don't know how far somebody wants to go in that time period, but I think 3 months of dating on a regular basis, whether that's somebody that you can imagine having a serious relationship with, marrying, something, or at least wanting to find out.
Well, this goes back to the concept I was talking about on one of my videos about dating with intent, because it's interesting because maybe her intent is different than his.
It sounds like it.
Yeah, because and I saw another video just today where they were saying that a girl was asking her boyfriend, does a guy know in 6 months if he wants to marry the girl? The woman he's dating, and he said, well, yeah. And she goes, do you know in 3 months? And he goes, yeah. And she said, what about 2? And he said, maybe, maybe not. So 2 seemed to be his boundary. And so, here's this guy they've been dating. We don't know how many months, but it's been multiple months is what she said, if I remember right.
A few months. So 3 months is usually few.
Yeah. So 3 or 4 months, probably. They've certainly created a relationship. They just haven't defined it. And it doesn't sound like he's willing to do that. And it seems like his intention is not to marry her. And again, we don't know if that's what she's asking for, but it's certainly not, hey, let's make this official. And
it sounds to me like she's just asking for him to be her boyfriend. She wants to label it so she can lean into it and see if it has potential to be more. How do you even allow your walls to go down to see if that potential is there with somebody who's unwilling to even be in a relationship with you, be in a committed relationship with you? The only other thing that I thought of was, maybe they entered into it as friends with benefits, and now she's ready to define it and he's ready to stay where he is. So as a man, Tom, I think that a lot of women these days get the impression that men are dating not with intention, and they are looking for greener grass. And it is possible that that's what he's doing. So, I don't know how men's minds work.
And I am the wrong guy to ask, because I am, my mom told all of us growing up my entire life, from as early as I can remember, she always said, you marry who you date. And
that's because we're old.
Well, yeah. And whether you marry them or live with them or spend your life with them or partner with them, whatever verb you want to put on there, the fact is, when you're with someone, there's an intention. You're dating them with an intention to do something beyond just be on a date with them. And so I have never been on a date just to be on a date. Every date I've been on in my entire life has been with an idea to the future, even when I was a teenager, which was stupid, but that was just, it was drilled into me from early age. So I look at, we don't know his name, so Ashley's boyfriend or non-boyfriend, to me, I think he's being foolish. But then again, maybe she hasn't brought it up in the right way or something. But I guess my advice to Ashley is, well, you better have a pretty good conversation with him. And like you said, have the text ready.
Yeah. And don't waste any more time. Like, there's no rule anymore that a man or a woman have to initiate that conversation. And I think that the sooner the better. Ask him what he wants from this relationship. Ask him if he's ready to be in a committed relationship. And if he says no, then just cut your losses. I know that people in their 30s right now are struggling so much to get other people to commit. I don't know what's going on, but I see it all over TikTok. I see everybody talking about situationships, which is what it sounds like Ashley is in right now, which is basically just a relationship undefined. And it seems that a lot of men in their 30s do not want to commit at the ages that they did when we were growing up. It seems to have shifted from 20s to 30s, even to late 30s, because they don't have a biological clock. There's no hurry to settle down.
Yeah. I think the lack of commitment, I don't think it's necessarily age specific.
No, you're right. I saw plenty of that in my 50s. So you're right. People in general are just hedging their bets. Something better might come along, I suppose.
FOMO.
Yes. Yeah, it's true. All right. Well, Ashley, I hope we helped. I mean, you don't have to take our advice, but you've heard it. I'm glad you asked for it. For everybody else out there, we love getting your emails. We read them every week on our show. And believe me, I read every single email and reply to them. So if you have a situation you'd like advice on, you want to talk to Tom or I, please send us your emails to talkingphase@gmail.com. Talkingphase with a PHASE is one word @gmail.com. We love getting your mail. So please keep sending it.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad that Pam reads those because, again, I'm not very detailed, so I don't read any of those. So thank you, Pam, for doing that.
I love reading them and I love replying to them. And we have gotten some doozies.
Yeah. Well, we're excited to read them then and bring them on the air.
Yeah.
So everybody out there, I guess we're going to wrap up. That is our show for the week. Want to thank everybody for listening or watching or both. And always got to ask a favor of everybody out there. Please share this podcast with your friends and your family. You probably ought to put a disclaimer and say this isn't because I think you need their help or anything, but just because it's entertaining, if nothing else. But most importantly, if we could ask everybody listening right now to give us a quick rating and review on whatever app you're using to hear our voices right now. It's not for our egos or anything like that. We just, it does help with the algorithms on the podcast apps. Leave us a quick review saying, what's the right way to break up? What's the worst breakup you've ever had? Any advice for James or Ashley? Leave it in those reviews. That's very helpful. And for the quick reminder, these shows come out every Friday morning, right around 8:00, unless I screw it up and forget to post it. You can follow us. Pam does a great job of posting little clips and everything on TikTok and Facebook and Instagram. So we're everywhere. You can't get away from us. And with that, until next Friday, this is Pam and Tom signing off.
Have a great day, night, weekend, time.